I'm reporting to you live from voter suppressed Georgia. Isn't it beautiful? Our governor, Governor Jim Crow, better known to many of you as Brian Kemp, has signed into law a 98-page bill that has severely limited voter access in our great state. Look at it. Feels so good here. Yeah. You know the deal. My name is Matt Stevens. This is your Matt Minute in Politics. And I had to. It's almost like law at this point that I have to comment on stuff like this because it's that ridiculous what has happened here in Georgia. Voting rights is something that I have been kind of thrown into, and it happens in Georgia. This law passes. This is craziness. You know that these videos are bad when I have to pull out my yellow highlighter and my notes. Now, I'm not going to read to you what happened. You can go to any news outlet and figure out that Black people are like a half a step above, separate restrooms at this point. That's the way that some of these voter restrictions feel. I'm just going to go over the top line stuff and then give you my thoughts, and then we'll go our separate ways, because I got to figure out, what rights am I going to lose next week? So I can't be tied up on this, this video forever. Ballot drop boxes, those are now being moved inside polling locations and only available 9 to 5. The changes from this bill now affect early voting for runoffs. That early voting time during the runoff season has now been reduced to 1 week. Let me see, your deadlines to request absentee ballots. Those deadlines are now at 11 days before the election. So if absentee balloting, if mail-in balloting is your thing, think about the election date. Go fast forward 11 days before that. That's your deadline. Here's the one that's been getting a lot of press because it is really that stupid. And it is now a misdemeanor in the state of Georgia to give out food or water to anyone waiting in a line to vote in the state. If you are giving out food or water, it is my understanding that you have to be more than 150 feet away from the polling place in order to do that. Now, it does say that election workers will be able to set up self-service water lines or self-service or make water available to voters in a self-service capacity while they're in line. But for someone to come up and give you food or give you water, which they were passing out drinks and stuff, because you got to remember Georgia's lines are so long because, hello, voter suppression, it's been here. This is not a new thing. So, food and water, giving that out to anybody in a line while they're waiting to vote, is a misdemeanor. Food and water has to be 150 feet if it's being given out 150 feet or more away from the polling place. Here's the one that is really not getting a lot of press, but it's causing a lot of issues. And that is basically that the state can come in and take over any county board of elections that it deems is not executing an election or administering an election fairly. The board that would come in is primarily made up of people chosen by the Republican-led state legislature. So they could come into a Democratic county like mine and say, we don't like how you're running things. So scrap you all. We're going to have somebody come in from the state level and take over. This one, the final one that I want to talk about, was kind of weird, but interesting, is that all of the votes have to be counted. Election workers are required to count votes until they finish. So if you live in a county of, say, 1 million people, or that particular precinct has so many millions or thousands of people, all of those votes have to be counted before they can go home. Okay. I mean, we had 5 million people vote in Georgia. So all of those 5 million votes would have to be counted on election day. It's serious. There's a lot of other stuff. I urge you to read a lot of different news outlets about this, but that's not really what I wanted to talk to you all about. We could go over that. I'm going to set my notes down. We can go over that all we want to all day. long, and we know how shitty the bill is, and we know how shitty this law is going to be, and we know that Georgia's history with Jim Crow, they've been buddy-buddy like this since the beginning of time. We know all that. But I just wanted to give you a little bit more perspective, hit that point and go home, okay? I don't know if you all have remembered, but we're still in a pandemic. COVID-19 is still real out here. And while this process to suppress or further suppress Black and brown votes in the state of Georgia started in January of this year, during that time, we've also got a new president, right? So that new president has said, oh, you know what? It is my day one priority is to get shots in arms to help kind of curb this pandemic and get the country moving in a different direction. Okay, fine and good and all. So Georgia said, okay, yeah, we're going to continue to, suppress Black and brown votes in the state. And then the president is saying getting the pandemic under control is really like the thing that we really want to focus on now. So then Georgia's like, well, we still think this is important. Although, the pandemic is important, everything like that, but it really isn't, because Georgia never really shut down, thanks to the same Governor Jim Crow, or Brian Kemp, however you want to call him. That particular governor decided in 2020, he said, you know what, we're not really going to shut down the state because, the economic hardship to the people of the state of Georgia and, the small businesses they built up, and they spent their whole life savings to come up and decide they want to open a business. And now I got to tell them they got shut down because of coronavirus. Like, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So then he said that. So he said he's going to throw the state wide open. So while some of you all may follow on Instagram, ATL Scoop and ATL Fame or whatever, and you see Shade Room and these clubs open in Atlanta, part of that is due to Governor Brian Kemp, Governor Jim Crow. He has decided that Georgia businesses have to stay open during the pandemic because they don't want to lose no money and, the economic hardship to the state. So while he decided that, here it is, he's pushing a voter suppression bill. At the same time, guess what happens? While they're doing the voter suppression bill, while it was going through the House and the Senate, the CDC released numbers that said that Georgia was 50th in vaccination rates. That was as of March 3rd. Okay. We were 50th in vaccination rates. Remember, same state where the governor said just last year, we got to keep the state open because of the economic hardships and, blase, blah. He said that. Now, the vaccines will help people get back to work, kids go back to school, businesses stay open, people stay alive to be able to spend the money. All of that. We know what vaccines can do. Whether or not you agree with vaccines, whether or not you're taking the vaccine is what it is. That's what its purpose is for. And this governor has decided that he wanted to make sure that businesses stayed open. Thinking person would say, oh my God, vaccines can help me get to that goal. Let me push vaccines. No, not Governor Jim Crow. No. He decided voter suppression was more important. Meanwhile, during the markup of the bill, on March 3rd, the Centers for Disease Control said that Georgia was 50th in vaccination rates. 50th. The same vaccine that can help boost the economy of Georgia. He could not find a syringe to insert into my obese arm. Why? But voter suppression is still more important. I just had to say that because I feel like we can talk about the bill and how horrible it is. And yes, it is horrible. And yes, voter suppression is terrible. But we've been living in a voter suppressed society, not just in Georgia. It's everywhere. Okay. I'm not okay with that. But that's like saying the sky is blue to me. I just want to let you know the level of stupidity I feel like we're living in. And I use that one example. There's so many examples. I use that one example because this is exactly why some people don't F with government like that. This is exactly why people get frustrated. They walk away. I'm not voting. The process is stupid. People don't care about me. Whatever they say. This is why. Because in a pandemic, they decide to look at voter suppression instead of looking at solving the pandemic. That means that instead of promoting Moderna and Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, they're striking down Pizza Hut, Sweet Tea, French fries, granola bars, stuff like that. Make it make sense for me, you know? Final point, Black people. Let me talk to you for a second. We are a beautiful people. We are a resilient people. We are a malleable people. We are a very inventive people, okay? So these voter suppression tactics, we'll find a way around them. You and I know that. I don't know if any of these representatives know Black people, if they know that we have group text, group chats, social media accounts, family reunions, homes where we have conversations about these things. I don't know if they really care about that, but you and I know how our people are. And we make a way out of no way, okay? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm already, long on time, but I feel like this one issue, if no other issue that you hear me talk about matters, is this one, because if we don't have the right to vote, or if we can't access the franchise, access the ballot box in a timely fashion, why are we here? What other issues can we solve government-wise without the rule of law, legislation, et cetera, in place? These things have consequences. There'll be more from me about this, but that's my initial take on what's going on, okay? As always, my name is Matt Stevens. This is your Matt Minute in Politics. You will find all of my social media information. It's just one handle. You'll find it in the lower left-hand corner of this video at Mr. Prune Juice. Follow me, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, there. I tweet a lot. I'm on Instagram a lot. So yeah. And then you can watch the videos on YouTube. Definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you don't live in Georgia, still let me know what you think, because there's 42 other states that are seeing some form of voter suppression bills either already passed or coming through your state legislature. So you might be next, Anyway, not gonna bore you anymore. Thanks for watching. Please share this video with all of your social networks. Love you guys. I'll talk to you very soon.